what's good, and welcome to the Industry Insider interview here on FiveTwenty Collective Podcast. Big shout out to our sponsor, the Bookkeeper 24/7. Hit them up at tbk247.com. And joining me right now on the FiveTwenty Collective phone line is my guys. They're not the same. They got a podcast. C-Micah, Rob Redeemed. What's good, fellas?
Yo, what's going on, man?
What's up, brother?
Yo, man, this has been a minute in the making right here, getting you on the podcast. I know we've been talking, and for whatever reason, I'll take the blame for it, man. I dropped the ball on getting you on here, but here we are. Here we are, man. I'm excited.
I was gonna say it was our fault, but then I was like, no, it sounds better saying it's your fault. So yeah, we'll take that.
It does, man. I'm used to it. So you guys can blame me for whatever you want to blame me on. You know what I'm saying? So, man, for anyone listening doesn't know, these right here, these gentlemen are the homies, man. Like, been supporters of FiveTwenty for as long as I can remember, and then being able to see what you guys have done with your show, the Not the Same podcast. It's been inspiring, man. I love seeing the growth, and just want to talk about it, because here's the thing: both of you guys are artists as well, right? And I know you're still making music, but man, the podcast is really taking off for you guys. How has that balance been for you as far as creating musically and getting this show, to keep growing and build that momentum that you've built?
Actually, the show, if I'm going to be honest about it, I think the show actually motivates it, because I know that, every week we're on the air and we're saying that we're podcasts and we're artists. It motivates me and gives me that drive to want to continue to do music, so that people do know, hey, we're out there. Because for some, they've never heard any of our music. So it's like an introduction, if you will.
I also can say the encouraging part about doing a podcast and, doing music is that a lot of our listeners, they don't know a lot about CHH music. Although we play it every week, they'll just say, oh, that song is dope. They may not look at it as Christian rap because It's just dope to them. You know what I mean? So, and the only time they've heard of any would be one of ours. They'll be like, oh, that's Rob and C. I like that. That's Christian rap, So that's kind of good too, but it's also another pressure, because they'd be like, hey, we want to hear more from you. We're fans of you, So that's kind of put the fire to me and Rob to keep stuff going. More so me, because Rob is rolling, but me to help myself too, to keep it going.
Yeah, man. And I think you're seeing more artists kind of venture into, whether it's the podcasting space or creating YouTube channels or critique shows, interview shows, whatever. You're starting to see more artists get involved in other creative areas that are related to the music side of stuff, man. What have you guys seen that's just been, some of the positives, some of the big pluses for you guys jumping into the podcasting world?
I think for me, it's just being able to give our opinions on stuff. You know what I mean? Because I'm a social media person, but a lot of times with social media, there is a nuance, there is a sarcasm. You can't really get the feeling of somebody. But if there's some hot button topic, there's been quite a few lately in Christian rap, but we're able to give our full opinion of it and not just have, 140 characters to try to get off what we're thinking for it to get misconstrued. That sucks, man. Like it maybe really need to explain, and you can't because you don't have enough room on Twitter or Facebook. And, obviously in social media spaces, trolls just live and breathe all the time. So on our, for us to do it on our podcast, it won't be nothing misconstrued. I heard they were saying that, no, there's video. There's a record. You know exactly what we meant when we said that. And for me, that's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just, I think we should have that free space to say our opinions, positive or negative.
Yeah, and for C, like he's more so involved on Twitter than I am. Like I got to get my Twitter game up. But whenever we talk about these topics on the show, it's my genuine response, because I haven't seen nobody's opinion about anything half the time. I may see the headline, or I may see the topic, but I never go down the streams to see what people's opinions are. So when you see us on the show, like C just said, I'm not worried about characters or being influenced by the masses. This is my genuine response to it. It's our genuine response to it when we talk on those hot topics.
Yeah, man. And, I want to, there's plenty with the podcast I want to talk about, but, C, since you brought it up, man, I'm gonna put it on you right now, man. We'll see. We'll just throw it out there, man. We're gonna get real for a minute. You talked about how there has been plenty of things happening around CHH, and it seems like there's always plenty of things happening around CHH to talk about, right? I guess first of all, just like for you guys, like, is there a process or like a guideline that you have to figure out, hey, we're willing to hit on this particular, we'll say, controversy is happening, or like, how do you go about deciding, like, oh, maybe we're going to stay out of this one? Like what's your guidelines whenever it comes to what you're going to cover and what you won't?
Honestly, we never want to shy away from discussing certain things. When it's marriages, that's difficult because we're married men, right? So if it's some type of drama, and I'm not going to put names to nothing, you know what I'm saying? But we'll just say, if it's some type of drama involving a marriage, it's hard to speak on it because you don't want to come off just only the male side. I'm a male. You know what I'm saying? Rob is a male. And you want to give credence to the female side. Also, we never know the whole picture of whatever's being reported, right? So you can only respond to what you know about it. So we have to be led on it. A lot of times, man, honestly, whatever is a hot button topic, we give it a week. Then we'll say something. Mm-hmm. Because you never know what's going to happen in that week. And then within that week, the Lord may be like, nah, don't even touch it. And be like, okay, we'll leave it alone. Or if not, he'd be like, nah, go in. And we're going to go in and say what we're going to say. And never want to be disrespectful. We're not here for shock value or trying to be any type of TMZ type thing. But we also want to be able to give an opinion from, our natural opinion and a biblical opinion. Both of them. I say both. Because some of it's just, okay, straight up, this a man talking. The other one is, this is what the words say. And both opinions we feel is important to a whole lot of subjects.
Yeah. Yeah. And, is there, do you have to kind of separate you being artist from you being media whenever it goes into talking about these kind of topics? Or do you feel like you're able to kind of blend those two sides that you guys bring to the table?
I think we do a good job about it because honestly, we don't look at it as either or. If I'm speaking correctly, we look at it just our opinion. So like when C and I discussing things, it's not C-Micah, Rob Redeemed, the artist / media. It's Chris and Rob discussing how we feel. I agree. Because you never want to be like, well, I can't say that because I may want to work with this artist. Bruh, we so far from that. One, because they may not even want to, and two, we may not want to with them. Or beyond that, I don't want to break the bank to pay somebody, even though I feel like artists should be paid. I don't get that twisted. But it's so far from that. It's more like, I should be able to speak my opinion. And here's the real thing. A lot of our show, the way me and Rob are thinking, is so much not, okay, we got to do this right for the show, this right for the show. A lot of it is like, man, I'm talking to my brother on the phone. Mm-hmm. That's the way we try to approach it. That's why it's good. Who I can see is him. And who he can see is me. And that's who we talking to. And, it makes us very comfortable. Now, we got to be careful because we could be like, this ain't for live air. Not like we're going to be cussing or nothing, but, it's some stuff we may talk about personally as best friends. We don't want to display to the whole world, But it helps us to be more comfortable, especially with something tough like that, because it's like, I'm just talking to my brother.
Has doing the show impacted the way you view the Christian hip hop space in general?
I'll tell you this. Again, I think the fact that, C and I have jobs, like we're not on the, it's kind of what he just said a moment ago when he said we're so far removed from worrying about offending someone who don't want to do a feature with us. The fact that we have full-time jobs, if C doesn't bring to my attention some of the artists that's going on now, no disrespect, if any artists ever hear this interview, I'm not saying, because I don't want to make it seem like I don't pay attention to the artists, because if you watch the show, you will see in a heartbeat, I'll say, oh, that's already on my playlist. Oh, this is going on my playlist. So I listen, but I'm not so far in Christian rap / CHH that I know every little detail of what's going on right now. So I hope that kind of answers your question. I think we just move, man. Like, the way we move is not the same. Like, honestly, it's really not the same.
Yeah, man. So for those of you listening, and I'm going to cut this out so I don't make these guys look bad, but I'm going to say it anyway. You know, for those of you guys listening, if you're not feeling C-Micah and Rob Redeemed, you know, they don't want a feature from you anyway, man. So just keep it moving, okay? I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. So, but no, man. So let's just talk about how the podcast kind of came together, man. Like how did that start? Who had the idea, and what were those kind of initial first steps for you guys?
I think maybe I had the idea, but I'm not sure. We probably talked about it a year before, and we just tossed it out because what we noticed here, we're from St. Louis, if everyone don't know. What we noticed here in St. Louis with a lot of artists, wasn't a whole lot of sports fans, right? But me and Rob, like, we both live, we don't say live and die, but we just eat and breathe sports all the time. You know, we have our favorite teams. We talked about it, and we was like, man, you know, this would be cool on the podcast. And what really prompted it and set the fire to is when the pandemic happened, honestly. Mm-hmm. You know, because I was like, yo, we're going to be in the house anyway. You know what I mean? To a degree, both of us still work most of the time, but I'm just saying the world in general is going to be in the house anyway. What time better than now than to try to go on and jump into this? And we had zero idea it would ever get to this. No. Bruh, I mean, our first podcast was like, we both, I think Rob was in the kitchen, I was in the kitchen, we had, you know, and no hate to levels of wherever you are as a podcast, but we'll just say this, we just using our laptop, you know, to the point of now, you know,
my phone, brother.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And we wasn't worried about backdrops or, you know, the way the camera looked or, you know, depth of field. We wasn't thinking about none of that. We just like, yo, we live. And, you know, I found a way to be able to go live, and we just jumped into it. We was like, okay, we're going to see what's going to happen. And it's been, we on show 94 for one of the podcasts at this point. So,
what me and C realized, because of what he said a minute ago, we're in St. Louis, and it's not a lot of artists who like sports the way him and I do. So what we noticed when we would do sports, our viewership would drop. So we switched it, because at first I think we were doing fave segments, sports, then music, but then it would get to sports and everybody would go, and then we switched it up. Like, she had the idea, okay, we're going to put sports last, and people would tune in for both the faith and the music, and then sports would drop off, where others, the sports fans, wouldn't come on until the sports came on. So I think we're on episode 16, I believe. We're coming up on the sports show because we realized, hey, we got something here. We got people who only want to hear us talk about sports, but we have others who only want to hear us talk about, you know, different things going on in the world, faith-wise and music. And so that's how it became two different shows. And then Bible study, it hit my brother heart, like, hey, we need to do a Bible study, man. Like, we just focus on it, like non-denomination, and just get in the Word. And, you know, I thank God for my brother, because, you know, he gave him the ideas, and then the Lord give us the content.
Do you guys have, you personally, did you guys have like a particular segment that was, you were a little more partial to, that you enjoyed doing a little bit more than the other? Or was it like you guys were just so into all of it that you were like, we can't do this show without having, you know, the music in there? You know, it couldn't just be a sports show. Like what you enjoy just as host of the show?
I say I enjoy everything, like everything. And really the main reason let me say this about enjoying everything. Like, I think both of us, it's almost like our own therapy, in a good way though. You know what I'm saying? Because like we had like 1 week where we didn't do it. We both like, hey man, We ain't right. You know, a lot of people don't do podcasts that often, but for us, it's like a getaway. Anyway, when we first started, we didn't have segments. We just did everything together, and the show was like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And we learned, you know, just from trial and error, like, okay, that's too long. You know, even if we had like, we consider this guy a legend. I know you've had him on your podcast before, Eric, K-Drama. We feel like he's a legend in this space. Our mind, we just let the legend talk. You know what I mean? So K-Drama, I mean, it was like 2 hours and a half. And it's like, hey, that was cool. But every show couldn't be like that. So we was like, okay, we need to break this up into segments. And I got that because both of us, me and Rob, watch ESPN all day. Shameless plug to them. But we watch them type shows, them or the other stations too, all day. Whether it's debate shows or whatever, they don't stay on the topic the whole time. Because at that time, we would get on the topic, it's like, okay, I'm going to ride this. We're going to ride this joint out till it's milk dry. Like, you know, nobody's talking about we still pushing it. It's like, okay, it's better to switch it and go into stuff. And as for having the music, there was never a point we wasn't going to have the music in it because we're musical artists. So our whole goal was to always to highlight the music and more so even highlight artists that everybody don't know. We wanted to do that too because us personally, I always felt like we are the artists people don't know. And we probably have more people know us than what we think. But in our minds, we always like, man, folks don't really know us or whatever. I wish we would have had this platform that would, you know, play us without a lot of shucking and jiving, so to speak. I know that sounds real old, but without a lot of, you know, strings and, you know, hard stuff to do just to get in. More so than just, yo, hey, submit this. Is you cussing? You know, are you not cussing? Are you not doing this? Are you not doing that? Cool, let's play it. Are you uplifting the kingdom? Let's play it. And then, you know, that was kind of the aspect of us playing the music, not just playing all the big name people. One, because, you know, on YouTube, you get flagged, shut your show down. We learned that.
Several times.
Several times. So it's like, hey, it's better to catch. And most of CHH is underground anyway, so to speak. So I'd say about 80%, you ain't going to have that problem. But, you know, for a little while, we had a problem with a few people. So doing that too. So overall, man, that's why the segment thing came in, just to break it up, give space. And certain people only come for certain segments too. We've learned that.
Yeah, man. And so let's talk about just how you guys have progressed and kind of leveled your show up. I mean, like you said, when you started out, you guys are in the kitchen, you're using your phones, your laptops, and, you know, I know what that's about, man. Not so much the 520 show, but I used to have a baseball podcast as well, and the first episodes of that, it was just through our phones, you know, on Anchor. So I understand where you guys are coming from, but you watch what you're doing now, man, and your production and your presentation, you know, has clearly grown from where you started. But what I love is that you guys were willing to work with what you had to kick things off, man. And so, like, what's your advice there for people who are thinking about jumping into the podcasting world? Because you got some people, and it could have been very easy to say, well, we want to do it, but we got to have this, and this before we do it. I mean, I think that mentality sometimes holds people back. Man, you could just get started, right? And see, you know, where you go down the line, and you guys are proof of that.
I think the biggest thing for C and I, and this is why I think we get along so much, but at the same time, we get on each other's nerves, excellence. You know what I mean? So, like, we'll do something and one of us will be like, all right, yeah, that's cool. But then the other one might be like, yeah, it's cool, but we can do better. So it's an accountability factor. But at the same time, we want to do things in excellence. And I'll give you a prime example. Shout out to AI The Anomaly. She was one of our guests on our show. She was always looking, how can we get better? How can we get better? So again, man, I praise God for my dude. How can we get better? And AI The Anomaly came on and we was on 4K webcams. At least we thought we were on 4K. Until Sis came on our show and she had a camera that made us look like, I mean, we were on like dial-up. And we had top of the line webcams, but her camera was so crisp. And when we got off, she was like, we got to get that. And I'm like, yeah, we could never let that happen again. And we procrastinated a little bit. And then finally, it was just like, God bless both she and myself. financially. And I'm like, all right, bro, we got to do it now. If we going to do it, we got to do it now because I'm willing to pull the trigger. And it's just little things like that. The lighting, like Sia do a lot of research. He'll look at the YouTube videos, and I'm on it because, again, we want to present things in excellence. One of the things, like, my internet service in my area was horrible. And I would always tell C, I'm like, look, man, it has to look right because I don't want someone to come on and you're looking one way and I'm looking another way, and it turns them off. And it was, like I said, solidified when AI came on, I think last week. And the first thing she said was, man, y'all looking crispy over there. And we like almost stopped the whole show just to give her shout out that it was her that motivated us. You know what I mean? Like we were doing the sports show and she came on. She was on our regular show, but we were doing the sports and she called it, and we stopped everything and let everybody know it's because of you that we decided this is the route that we're going to go as far as making sure we're seen in excellence, not in a prideful way, but in glorifying God.
Yeah, man. And you guys kind of talked about it a little bit, but let's dive into it just a little further as far as actually deciding to kind of split the show out into a couple of shows, right? And I get why you did that. You said, you had kind of two different audiences that you're trying to provide content to, right? And they would tune in for part of it and then dip out, and you'd rather see that consistency. But was that a difficult decision? I mean, was there any thoughts of like any kind of second guessing, like, well, should we be splitting this up? Any kind of hesitation on your guys' end?
Yes.
Yes, of course. And because of this, because we have jobs, we have families, and we don't ever want to overextend ourselves where our content and the quality of our content goes down. But at the same time, I'm the Rob said it earlier, I'm the YouTube guy and kind of the tech nerd of our group here, right? So I'm always looking at YouTube data of how I was dipping with the sports. But we had so many people be like, yo, I love the sports. And one thing I figured out, and this is a little secret, is like, because we have a show on multiple topics, we may end up doing our graphic art for one thing. We may say, Brady to the Bucks, right? So the graphics this week show Brady to the Bucks. Well, the sports segment went until the third segment of the whole show, which means basically like 6:45 of a show that started at 6. But the people that see the graphics, they're looking to hear stuff about Brady, right? But they're waiting basically 45 minutes, like, okay, this is not smart. And we have more people that have come on just to hear that, and they, they're like, well, I don't want to hear nothing about no Christian rap. I don't want to hear nothing about no faith. I want to hear about Brady. Right. So it's like, okay, you know what? It'd be a good idea to do a exclusively sports show, and we are 100% Christian focused. But on the sports show, we just talking sports, and we're not gonna do anything to get rid of our, our faith or nothing like that. But it's not as pushed as much on the sports show because we just strictly talking sports, and we gained a whole, its own crowd right there. So I think it really worked out. But was it hard to do? Absolutely. And some of these weeks, like this week here, where it's, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, back to back to back, it's not always easy, but it's rewarding. It's definitely rewarding.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with you. And then to kind of piggyback off of what C just said, I think the biggest thing, like all of the segments, every show is fulfilling. Sports show, because we're us. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, we're never, from the sports to the Bible study to the regular show, we're still us. We don't change who we are because we're on a different show. So we have faithful watchers who watch all three. No matter when we come on, they're on. And they're getting Chris and Rob no matter what. They're not, how sometimes you get stage people or Hollywood people. We're the same on every single show no matter what. So I think that's the biggest thing on why I enjoy it so much.
Add into that, you started the Bible study as well. So like you said, you guys are on 3 nights a week doing this. I mean,
every other week. Every other three nights a week. Yes, sir.
Okay, there you go. And obviously, you kind of hit on it, and just knowing you guys, I can kind of venture a guess at what led to the Bible study, but just talk about developing that, man, and that decision to roll essentially a third show out.
Hey, see, I'm gonna start this because C don't know this. I'm not gonna lie to you. When C said let's do the Bible study, I got cold feet, and the first thing out of my mouth to him was like, "Man, see if sis will do it with you." I don't know if he remembers this or not, but like I wanted him to do it with his wife and not with me, and it's not because I don't know the word. It was just a situation where, kind of, you know how I don't want to say running from my calling, but not sure. Like I don't know what it was. I know it was the enemy because now that I love it, but my brother was like, "No, man, I want to do it with you. Like this is us. We gonna do this together." And it's one of the best decisions I've made because it's allowed me to get back into my word and just past hurts. You know, if I would be transparent for a hot second, I was a youth pastor once before, and I'm not gonna lie, I got afraid. And I know God didn't give us a spirit of fear, so all my deep folks to hear this, miss me with that. I had a moment. Like I'm gonna be 100%. I had a moment because the last time I was in this lane, I got a deep church hurt. It's a lot of brothers and sisters who can relate to what I'm talking about, and I'm happy that C pressed me and told me, "Nah, man, we got to do this together." And it's probably one of the most fulfilling things that I've done, you know, overall when it comes to the podcast, because the rest of it is natural. Sports comes second nature. The topics that we talk about, we can talk about anything, but when it comes to that word, you got to dig, you got to pray, you got to study. And I'm just so happy that we decided to do the Bible study, man.
I am too. I know Eric was asking, how did it come about? It's really just about a leading of the Holy Spirit. You know, he's just really tugging at me about us doing it. And I was really wrestling before I even brought it to Rob. I was more like, okay, am I supposed to do this myself? Because you tugging at me, and I'm telling Rob, and he looking at me like, I'm like, is you telling him? Is you telling me? And I'm already gone. My brother like, I don't know nothing about all of it. But, you know, and he kind of, by the Spirit, kind of really reassured to me, no, it's supposed to be both of you. So that's why I kept pushing my brother so much. I think it was needed to have a Bible study. So many times when I watch podcasts from Bible studies, it's only based on whatever denomination they're from, right? Or it's only based on whatever doctrine they're from. It is not just talking about the Bible. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, let's read this. What does this mean to you? And that be it. And that's what I really felt like what was needed. You know, because I have a background where I come from denominationally. Rob have one. And everybody that watches from all different ones. I never wanted anyone, when it comes to the Bible, to feel unwelcome. You know what I mean? And feel like, well, this ain't for me because they ain't this. But this ain't for me because they ain't talking. You know, I never wanted that. I wanted somebody to be like, from any background, be like, hey, well, that's what the Bible say. And I wanted to make it where it could be clearly seen on the screen, where they ain't prophesying up there. They just, you know, they just reading what it says, and then we discussing it. And I just felt like it could really, really be helpful, you know, to the people that watch us and people that come across us in the future, and for us as well. Because, you know, a lot of times when we do this Bible study, it's helping us, you know, just as much as it's helping anybody that's watching. It's like, man, we getting through and halfway crying, you know, and we like, all right, bro, you know, because a lot of times we'll talk after, we like, all right, gotta go on and go. And I may just go somewhere and be like, Lord, thank you, Jesus, you know, because something didn't happen. In other words, we, you know, the Lord has used us in this way, and it's a special thing, you know, to be able to be used and be 100% yourself, though, and don't go into preacher mode. If y'all understand what I'm saying, you know, if you start talking, we ain't talking preacher talk, we just talking. But God is so awesome that he can inhabit that praise too, where you just talking.
Yeah. And I feel like
that boy almost started the whole series.
I held back, brother. I did. Trust me.
Yeah, you did. I know.
Oh, man. Guys, again, on the phone line with me, it's C-Micah and Rob Redeemed, the Not the Same podcast here on FiveTwenty Collective. Make sure you go check them out, guys. Where do they, before we talk a little bit more on some other things here, where do they find you guys? Where do they follow and support all that good stuff?
Well, you can hit us up. We on Facebook, Not the Same Podcast. On IG, we're Not the Same Podcast. On Twitter, we're Not the Same Pod. If you put in Not the Same Podcast, it'll still pop up, but the Twitter handle is Not the Same Pod. YouTube, Not the Same Podcast. Like, everything is Not the Same Podcast. And if you put it in, even if you Google it, if you put it in, you can go to notthesamepodcast.com. Like, you'll see us and you'll see our content. You'll see previous shows. You'll see merchandise, etc.
That's what's up. And so then again, you've got run down the show times real quick as well.
Every week we do on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Central Time, we have the sports show. On Thursdays, we have our regular show, which is Faith and Music. That's 6 p.m. as well. And every other Tuesday, we do the Not the Same Bible study. It's not podcast, but Not the Same Bible study. And that's all at 6. So every show comes on at 6 p.m. Central, and we run for about an hour or less, unless we have a guest that's just really in their zone.
Yeah, man. And you can find that YouTube, and I'm assuming some other places as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I watch on YouTube.
So we're right. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Excuse me, whenever we go live. We're trying to get to that 1,000 followers on IG so we can do live on IG. We'll get there, though. You know what I mean? We're not despising small and humble beginnings.
Right. Exactly.
And also rebroadcast on the FiveTwenty Collective.
520 Radio. Shout out to DJ Barcode. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have joined a sports network as well, correct?
That is correct. We also part of the MTMV network with our homie Rick Sincere. So
yeah, man. Shout out to the fam.
And also recently joined just for with the sports, Border Fuel Sports, which is headed up by Justin Sarachek, one of the head people over there at Rapzilla. So he reached out to us for the video content. So
man,
you
guys are just everywhere right now, man. So like obviously I think the MTMV connection, totally makes sense. I know you guys are close with the Track Stars family, and Rick Sincere's Track Stars through and through. So, what was it about MTMV Sports that intrigued you guys and made you think, hey, this is a move we should make?
Honestly, at first, he reached out. I think he reached out to us on Twitter, and I think it took us a couple of days to even respond. And then I told him, hey, give me a day, and me and Rob talked about it and prayed about it. And honestly, when we first reached out, we was like, should we go to a sports network? Because I was like, bro, we do more than sports. At that time, we didn't even have a sports show. We had like a sports segment, which was the smallest of our segments, And, but we both felt like, okay, this is we felt a peace to go ahead and roll with them. And I'm very grateful we did. We found some great friends, and it's been a very good partnership with those brothers. And they've helped us in a lot of ways, a lot of ways. I was aware personally of the Track Stars and been around them before, just as an artist years ago, a while ago. But, we was able to reconnect a lot more dealing with them, especially recently at Flavor Fest, a great relationship with them too. So I think it really, really worked out. And it's been a marriage made in earth. I ain't gonna say in heaven. I ain't gonna go that far. That's a little too much.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, man. And I know we were kind of talking but before we got everything rolling. And I don't know, I view it like there is a lot of people whenever you're looking at this kind of crossroads of faith and hip hop and sports. I see it. I see these connections, with you guys, with what Rick Sincere and the team has done with MTMV Sports. You're talking about Justin Sarachek, just hearing artists like in group chats and stuff, talking about the NBA or whatever it may be. Like, in your guys' opinion, do you see like some commonalities there that would cause these different areas of life to kind of connect? I know you guys were saying that maybe we don't see it as much as we see some other things, but I definitely think that those connections are there. Like, to you, what is it that kind of brings these different aspects of life together?
As far as sports go, in my opinion, I think just the camaraderie, the brotherhood, teamwork. You know what I mean? I know I'm saying all buzzwords that they would say at some type of conference, but it's just the truth. I think that's what brings it all together.
Yeah, I think also too, it's as an artist, Christian artist, we love to say it's not competitive, but in reality, it's competitive.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's of the same spirit, of the competition, and you want to be the best. And for you to be the best, somebody else ain't going to be the best. It's just what it is. And a lot of people have that same feeling when it comes to sports. Some artists have played, or they say they have played some sports. Everybody was the greatest when nobody could see the tape. You know what I mean? If it ain't no tape, then yeah, they was awesome. Everybody was Jordan out there, or they was Elway with the Brady with the pass, without no tape. But I think that's what kind of brings it together, is just the same competitive spirit. I see it more like people didn't hear this because this was offline, but I see it more in the sense of wrestling. A lot of, especially the younger CHH Christian rap artists, they talk about wrestling a lot. A whole lot of wrestling or football. But mainly wrestling. It's like, I wasn't a huge wrestling fan, so don't come spew our showdown. I wasn't a huge wrestling fan, but me personally, I wasn't a huge wrestling fan because I got too grown, and when I got grown, I was like, okay, this ain't real. Obviously, everybody knows it's not real, but sometimes it's fun, and the personalities is good, in wrestling. I will say that a lot of them become great actors, or at least serviceable actors. But yeah, I just think the correlation is really just the competitiveness. And then you see it more with other people. A lot of people, we're not known by a whole lot. A lot of people looking for outlets to talk about it. And if you are one of these people that's listening to this podcast, hey, come check us out, where somebody actually talk about sports and go in depth and do homework on it. If you're a sports guy like that, because when I was listening to the podcast, I was like, man, I love to hear this from a believer's perspective. But a lot of them don't deal with it. So, that's a void we're trying to fill.
Well, hey, and one question I definitely wanted to ask you guys, we talked about, where you started the podcast and how it's grown and how you've leveled up there. But the same can be said whenever you're talking about some of the people that you're bringing onto the show, right? Some of your guests, some of your interviews. You talked about talking with AI, the Anomaly, but even on the sports side, man, you guys have had some legends on this show. Darryl Strawberry, Ozzie Smith. What's some tips that you can give to people that are maybe trying to follow your lane on how to, get those inroads and get some of these bigger names, to want to talk to you? Because that can always, definitely that's a daunting thing. For people, is like, man, I would love to talk to my favorite athlete or musician or whatever, but I have no idea how to do it. Like, what's your advice for that?
I can't really give advice. Look, this is what I'm going to say, and a lot of people think this is cliche when seeing I say this. God did it, bro. Like, honestly, Darryl Strawberry, just so happened we went to the same church, and I built a relationship with this man based on faith, not even on sports. Hadn't seen him for years. I ended up seeing him at work, and he agreed immediately to come on the show. Ozzie Smith, that was my wife's doing. You know what I mean? He a frequent flyer. My wife works for the airline. She told him, plugged it. Conzo Martin, I know his mother. You know what I mean? So it's like all of this for connections and favor from God. Like, honestly, we were still, our backdrops were still our kitchens and living rooms when we had Conzo Martin, who's the coach of the Mizzou Tigers. So my biggest thing would be this: let them tell you no. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm learning on my end, and then I'll let C finish up. Shoot your shot to whoever you're going to shoot it to. Shout out to Rick Sincere. That's one of his biggest mottos. Shoot your shot. The only thing they can do is say no. And if you can get past the no factor, someone's bound to say yes. And that's what I've seen. But the sports guys that we've had on, those are all through personal relationships and just finding favor and God opening doors.
We wanted to do our show in a way if we send out an invitation to a sports guy and if they are of value and we don't know them personally, you know, like some of the ones we had, we want to be able to have a show that looks the part, right?
Yeah.
So that was always my thing, is like, hey, if we trying to get vetted by them and they do their background, but like, oh, these guys got this. Oh, they're doing this. This is together. This, and this. And that was another thing. It's like, okay, what I would say to someone trying to do this is like, even if you don't have a big artist yet or the big athlete yet, be ready, right? Because when you interview a real athlete, a high level athlete, they answer a question. They say a whole lot of words very quick because they're media trained, and you got to be ready for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going. It's not going to be a lot of no. They're gonna get their thought out quick. And if you only had 3 questions and you wasn't ready for that, your interview gonna be over in 5 minutes. And you gonna look real unprofessional. Now Rob is laughing because we normally have 6 questions total between each other, and that's more than enough for someone to go in. Well, when we interviewed Mr. Darryl Strawberry, oh no, this was different. Yeah, this was different. We got through them 6 questions like in 6 minutes. It's like, okay,
yeah,
be ready, because he was a different level of interviewer. And before the interview started, we thought, okay, he gonna give long answers and all that. But when the lights came on, okay, it was showtime.
Hey, yeah, that's funny. Just piggybacking off of C, it was funny because, like you said, before we started the interview, we were talking to Darryl in the back, and when we say the back, it's before we went live. And all his answers and us, chopping it up was long, and we're laughing. And I promise you, when we went live and brought this brother in, he gave us his whole life testimony in less than 5 minutes and answered every single question. So yeah, we were freestyling for the rest of that interview. So shameless plug, go back and look at that Darryl Strawberry interview, and you'll see and I scrambling to get more questions.
Definitely.
It was fantastic, man. It was fantastic. I love it.
Hey, thanks, man. Praise God.
Yeah, man, for sure. And the other thing I wanted to ask you guys about, which we kind of have hit on, but not really dove into it, and that is, that here at FiveTwenty Collective, we are about the independent artists, and you guys were talking about how, indie CHH is I don't necessarily want to use the word easier, but for now we're going to say it's a little bit easier for you to cover, on your podcast because, like you said, restrictions and different stuff. But the one thing you guys do is you always feature some videos on your show as well, man. So if artists are listening right now and they're like, man, I would love the opportunity to get my video, my visual in front of the guys at Not the Same and maybe get it featured on their show. Like, what does that look like, man? Like, what do they need to do? How do artists get on your radar to potentially get placement on the show?
So what we normally do, this is what I say first off for artists. If you got a new EP coming out and you just want to share it with us, then go for it. Go to Not the Same podcast at gmail.com and share your EP link. We are not a podcast that do reviews. If we do reviews, it'll be a review like there's a bunch of big releases all at once, and what C and I'll do, that'll be a part of our CHH or our music segment where we do reviews on several albums and then we give our opinion, but we're not really a review show. If you got something going, like if you're an artist that want to come on the show, have something in place. Like you got an EP coming, you're doing something in your community, you have visuals for your songs, because the one thing that we've noticed in doing our podcast is visuals are way better than just audio, because our show is presented live. Now you can catch the replay via, Spotify and all of your digital outlets, Apple Music, etc. But when we're live, like it's a interactive live visual event. So to have your visual is key. And again, you can send those, not the same podcast at gmail.com. And just please make sure it's quality. Like, we're artists ourselves. So make sure it's mixed and mastered. Make sure your video is not just by the iPhone and there's no editing. Like, I shot a whole video from my cell phone, so I know what it is, but I invested in myself and had someone edited the footage so that it can look professional. So please don't feel like we're knocking you. We're not in competition with 520 The Collective. We're not in competition with some of the other guys out there, so you don't have to pay us money to try to get your stuff to the top front page. That's something that we do here. We're just trying to uplift, the name of Christ.
But if the Lord leads you to send the blessing, send it on. Go ahead, Rob.
But if you want to sow a seed,
I was gonna say, man. I was gonna say, dude. Like, I mean, if Pete, I'll take some money if you want to send me some money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no. Hey, check it out. Sow the seed, brother. I'm just saying, I don't want people to think just because you drop X amount of money, it guarantees you play, because that's not how we do it over here. We're not the same.
Yeah, for sure. And, it may not be competition, but I'll compete with you guys. You know what I'm saying? In the name of Jesus, of course. You know what I'm saying? So,
but it's not competition. Hey, check this out, Eric. It's not really competition, because when it's all said and done, when the show over, you're gonna rebroadcast it anyway.
Oh, 100%. Well, dude, you know, man. I try to get in them comments as often as I can. So,
you definitely do, man. Shout out to you.
Yeah, man, and I encourage people to get in there, man, because those comment sections can get fun at times. I think there's been a time or two where maybe like C's wished I wasn't in the comment section, perhaps. So,
just facts.
Oh man, fellas. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys getting on the show with us. I know we talked about where they find the podcast. What about for you guys individually? Where do people go and support? Because like you guys said, you do more than just the podcast, man. So you got music and all that's a part of life as well. Where do they need to follow you and show you guys love?
Well, for me, on all social media, C-Micah Music, CMICAH. Yeah, that's what I meant. No, but basically, that's it everywhere. I got a website, C-MicahMusic.com. Be on the lookout. I will release stuff this year. In Jesus' name. First quarter. We ain't got that too long for first quarter. We got first quarter.
Right. Hey, for me, everything is Rob Redeemed. That's ROBREDEEMED. And I have to say it because I've been called Rob the Redeemer and some other stuff, but it's Rob Redeemed. I didn't even start a TikTok. I ain't dancing, but I'm on there.
Man, I don't really do much outside of Twitter, but I might log into some TikTok if Rob starts dancing. I'm just saying. So, see, I want to see what you can do about that, man. Like, you put the pressure on him.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it because I know I ain't going to get on there and dance at all. You forget that.
That's what's up, fellas. Well, hey, guys.
My wife just screaming in the background. He ain't lying. So.
I'll two-step all day long. If they get a two-step challenge, I'm telling you, I'm going to win. I'm going to look like Snoop Crip walking if they get a two-step challenge.
There you go, man. We'll get that together, man. Well, maybe we put that on somewhere in Missouri, man, and people come from states all around to see it. I don't know. We'll see. But fellas, man, it's all love. I'm glad that we were finally able to get you on the show. I love, like I said, just seeing the growth and the consistency with what you guys are doing at Not the Same Podcast, man. It's inspiring for us here on the 520 Collective. And man, I just count it a blessing to be able to call you guys friends, man. So we got to get you back on the show. It's got to not take as long as it took this time. You know what I'm saying? So, but you guys know you're welcome to come back. Guys, go and check out the show. Like I said, the sports show on Wednesdays, the faith and music show on Thursdays, Bible study every other Tuesday, YouTube and Facebook and all Twitter and all that good stuff. Go support it, because these are guys that they're doing it for the right reason. They care about the culture, and yeah, man, I mean, that should be enough. Right, I shouldn't have to sell it any more than that, I don't think. So go and support them. Go give them a follow for sure. So, Fellas, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I will say this, and we have a podcast where we actually laugh. So we have fun. You know, it's not we trying to teach you everything. No, we are goofy. Most of the time, we'll get totally off script because it just happens. You know, so if you like laughing, you may enjoy our podcast. If you're a sour grape, then this may not be the podcast for you.
Right? I mean, dude, just at me next time, okay? Just do that instead of like subtweeting me. Golly. I know. I need to get better at laughing. Jeez. But nah, man. Nah, I love it, guys.
I mean, it's not a sin, you know. Not a sin.
Dude, I mean, I guess it depends on what denomination you are. I don't know. But,
I'm messing with y'all right now, man. What I do want to say, Eric, is thanks for having us on, man. I appreciate the fellowship when we finally got a chance to meet in person, brothers. And thank you for replaying the Not the Same podcast, 520 Collective. Much love to you, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Same goes to you, man. Like I said, I love it, and I'm excited to go. Dude, it's fun. Like you said, man, you know, not very many people in the space, because of where we are, have I been able to, you know, meet up face to face. But you guys, you know, I was lucky enough to do so, and that changes the dynamic a little bit of, you know, when we get on here and we do this interview, you know, we're able to laugh, we're able to joke a little bit. I think because of that, thank goodness for the editing process, because I probably need to take myself out a little bit more of this one than normal. But we're gonna make it happen, dude. So yeah, man. You know what it is, man. Anything we can do for you guys, we're gonna do it. And for you guys listening, we appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in to this episode podcast. Big shout out to our episode sponsors, including the Bookkeeper 24/7. Like I said, go check them out, tbk247.com, and we will catch you guys on the next pod.